I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, hearts full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars, he's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the tank.
I am the tank, big
Big
tank.
Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Hey, Fred, Big Tank here with another episode of Big Tank Talk. Today I have with me a friend from Clapper named Vincent Dent. On Clapper, he's known as NavyChief.
All right.
Vince, good to have you with me today. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Tank. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and doing this. So, looking
It's
forward
my
to it.
pleasure. Now, we became friends because we have a common background. You're a retired Navy, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, I was in the Navy for 15 years and then took an early retirement actually out of the Navy. So, yeah.
Right. Now, I did 6 years active and then 4 more in reserves for a total of 10 years Navy time.
Oh, all right. Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
Navy, as you know, it's a brotherhood.
Yeah, it is.
So when
That's
I
what.
when I met you on Clapper, I was happy to find another sailor that I could
Yeah.
definitely relate to.
Yeah, that's what attracted me to you. I mean, I look for those guys because I understand that bond, you know what I mean, that the military has. And it doesn't really matter
Absolutely.
what service, right? I mean, it's just that us being Navy even makes it a better one, I think. So,
I think the Navy makes it a stronger bond for us, but you're right. It doesn't matter what branch of service. We're all brothers and sisters
yeah.
in uniform when we put up our right hand and swear that oath.
Yeah.
I want you to know that your service to our country is greatly appreciated.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate your service too. So,
Now, what brought me to invite you for this interview is I know that you've become a musician and a singer,
yes, sir.
something I greatly respect and appreciate. So I'll just jump right into getting this going. And what got you into music in the first place?
Well, you know, they say sometimes when you retire, you have to find something to do, right? I mean, and so that was probably the first step. So yeah, I retired early at 54 years old. Um, I did a lot of things before that, of course, as far as financially saving and I stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and all that stuff. House buying, and I'm a landlord, if you will.
Right.
So I own several houses, but so I was able to retire early at 54 years old. Did my 15 years in the Navy, did 19 years as a manager for a major chemical distribution company. And then I said, you know what, I got enough. I'm going to quit. I'm going to do what I want to do now. And so, yeah, I got into, always loved music, always loved playing guitar. Um, and I love learning. So, it's endless, right? Learning the guitar, learning vocals and all that stuff. So I really got absorbed heavily into learning the guitar first, basics, and then learning music theory, which evolved into songwriting and stuff like that, and it's helped out tremendously. So yeah, every day now I'm retired, I pretty much play music, or and I got a variety of it too. I'm not just acoustics. I'm electric. I'm solo. I'm rhythm. I'm songwriting. And so I did that for a reason, so I could rotate between those things. I wouldn't get bored with one of them, or when I did get bored with one of them, I'd move to the next phase and say, I'm a songwriter for a week or something like that, you know? So,
Right.
yeah.
And that provides versatility too. That can only bode well for you moving forward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what inspires your songwriting and your song creation?
Well, I think I'm on 7 songs now, and I just released the first song. I call it Kyo, well, that's how it's pronounced. It's my Okinawan stepmother who passed during COVID, Kiyo, but it's pronounced Kyo.
Right.
And so the 7 songs I wrote are all about me, some facet of my life. It all comes, I'm not just making these things up. If you listen to the words, they actually reside in my life, a phase of my life. Keo, again, passing of a stepmother. Shattered is me growing up and what I went through.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Southern Peach is about me going in an overseas bar and looking for women or something like that. You know what I mean?
Been there myself, so I can
Yeah,
relate to that
yeah,
one.
yeah. So they're all. In fact, the album when it comes out will be called Memories, and that's because each one is precise to something event that happened in my life. So
So
yeah,
would it be fair to say that part of your creative process is to look inward and draw
absolutely.
your inspiration from your own life and your own experiences?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to do that, right? I mean, as a songwriter, you got to figure out when you're the most creative, right? Like there's certain times of the day, certain events you may do that really lead to creativity. Some people, for me, it's driving a car. Other times it's right before I go to bed and I decompress and all that stuff, right?
Right.
I get these floods of words and memories and stuff like that. And so if you get in sync with that, then you know how to start it and repeat it, right? Repeat that event again, you know.
Right.
Meditation plays a big part in me too. So yeah, that's what happens is I try to put myself in those situations where I'm most creative. But you know, I always say this: when negativity stops, the people around you and all that stuff,
Right.
creativity starts, right? Because you don't have all that dragging you down, right? So that's always been one of the things I've lived by. Yeah,
Well, being a gentleman that writes poetry, I kind of understand that my process.
yeah,
I find that when the mood hits me to write, the words just kind of flow through me, and
yeah,
it's really a freeing thing to be able to do that. And
absolutely.
I am quite impressed that you can write your own songs and then turn around and perform them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where music theory comes in and understanding all that stuff, right? Is how are songs laid out? How are they developed? It's not just
Right.
verses and choruses and stuff like that. It's the right key. It's the happy chords versus the sad chords, you know, where you are in the story because they all tell a story, right? Beginning, middle, and end. You know,
Absolutely.
you got limited time to do it. You got 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, maybe at best. But it's got to be short, concise, precise, and you know that's where it comes from.
Now, being still fairly new to it, I'm sure you've gotten some good advice along the way. What's the best piece of advice you've gotten so far?
Um, the best, well, as far as my learning ability and learning guitar, I knew I had to focus on one step at a time. I was associated with building a house, one brick at a time, right? If you
Right.
don't spend time on the first step, you know, the house is going to fall, the foundation is going to fall. For instance, guitar playing, a little bit, I won't get too deep into pentatonic and diatonic scales, is what they call them. I spent a year on that. You know what I mean? Just because I wanted a solid foundation is one of the first things I learned, right? And then you get into all the aspects of it. So I'm not big into going out YouTube and seeing, Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven and seeing some
Right.
guy perform it, and then I'm going to spend like 6 hours trying to learn it. No, no, no. That's not how it works for me. Because what you get is bits and pieces of information, and who knows if you ever put it all together, right? So you can play Stairway to Heaven, right? Okay.
Right.
You have to learn guitar playing. And it's the same way with vocals and vocal training. You know what I mean? I knew I wasn't going to get into vocal training until I could handle the guitar first and manage the guitar well. And that's where I am now. So yeah.
And
So
I have to tell you, I have seen the progress in your vocal
mhm.
ability since I started listening to you sing up until now, and
Yeah.
you've improved quite a bit. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a very good way.
Yeah, it's been 12 hours of training I've had so far. I got 4 more coming at me, 16 hours. And it's amazing. It's really about dissecting a song. You know, if you're going to do a cover song, you really got to spend and do a little bit of homework on it. Really listen word by word how it's said and how it's sang, and how it's, does it got multiple syllables in it? Is it just, is it drug out? Is it swoop up? Does it swoop down? And so
Right.
I've spent a lot of time focusing on vocals so that I can do the best cover performance I can do, you know what I mean, of a cover song. Because I believe you got to respect the musician. You got to do it to the best of your ability. I'm not, so yeah. So I appreciate that compliment.
So let me ask you this, Chief. If you could choose to open for any performer uh, in the music business, no matter what genre, who would that be?
Well, it would have to be a country or most likely a folk type singer, right? Um, and I've opened for I've duetted with Rob George on Clapper. Down in Dallas, Texas, got up on stage with him. It was awesome. I mean, who would have thought a guy from Columbus, Ohio? Um, you know, I'm kind of nobody, right? And for Rob to find me and me to get up on stage with Rob and sing one of his songs was just awesome. You know what I mean?
All right, Chief, I got to interrupt just for a second. I have to correct you. Okay.
Yeah,
You are not nobody. We're all
yeah.
somebody to someone.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Rob George has a good ear for talent. And
yeah,
if he saw something in you and invited you on stage with him,
yeah.
then you deserve to be there.
Well, I appreciate that, Tank, and I have a thing. I stay humble. You know what I mean? Because I've met enough big-headed musicians that thought they were everything. I will always compliment someone else. I'll let you folks compliment me or whatever, and I do appreciate that too, and all that stuff. So, um, but you know what? As far as performers and stuff like that, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but if you ever seen Tennessee Whiskey, the Dean Dillon story, watch that. Okay.
I'll
And
have to check it out because I have not seen it.
that's the guy I would like to connect with. I'm telling you, he has wrote songs. He's a songwriter. He was a performer, but now he's just a songwriter for George Strait, for Toby Keith, um, for a bunch of people, man. Dean Dilling, the Tennessee Whiskey on
Safe
Prime.
to say he's somebody you'd like to collaborate with then?
Absolutely, man. He's just down to earth, and you know that genre. He can write a song with some feeling, you know what I mean? And that's really what
Absolutely.
I'm passionate about. So, yeah.
Let's let me ask you this. Musically speaking, who's your hero? Who is the person you most want to be pattern yourself after?
Well, I tell you what, I get told a lot, and that I sound like Bob Dylan. Um, I've heard a
I've
little
heard
bit of
that.
Johnny. I've heard a little bit of Johnny Cash, but Bob Dylan. And I got to thinking about this when I was growing up. 6 feet from me, I have a Bob Dylan album, and I'm talking like the '70s. I've had it since then, and that his albums have influenced me a lot. I like that rustic baritone, deeper folk type music.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Bob Dylan, is my guy. I got other people, of course, that I like, but, a lot of times the influence comes from when you're younger, right?
Right.
I was a Southern rock guy, Leonard Skinner and a Marshall Tucker band and Bob Dylan and all that stuff like that. And, yeah, so I guess it's coming out now at my age, you
You
know what I
pulled
mean?
that right out of my young adulthood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's the stuff I grew up listening to, but I listened to, Motown and
yeah,
uh, R&B and so much more. But I can respect that. And
yeah,
Bob, you could do a lot worse than Bob Dylan too. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
like that answer. Um, what's your biggest fear with regard to your music uh, uh, growth? I guess.
I'm fearless as far as music, man. I keep my expectations low. If you never expect anything, you'll never be disappointed. And if you didn't expect that, it'll be a surprise. And that's the way I like to keep it. All I know is I got to keep growing as a musician. I got to keep playing. I got to keep singing. And when it's my time, I'm a be in that bed with no regrets. So I'm not much
And
of
I
a
have to tell you, Chief, you're building a pretty good reputation on Clapper.
thank
It's
you.
been my experience. I manage a group called Bros,
Absolutely.
um, which features Matt Gardner. So I have the benefit of being around some supremely talented individuals,
Yeah.
and you're building a reputation in Clapper among those individuals as well. Um, and I respect that. I respect the work that you put in.
Well, I
I
tell you what, I think Matt Gardner's phenomenal. I wish I had a little bit of his talents as far as beat and catching a beat, and he's got the vocals and he's got the playing. So I stop in there as much as I can because I believe in supporting each other. We grow, we do well supporting each other. I'm not out to, I support Rob George. I support them all. The Artists
well,
Alliance, man.
and that's one thing. It's fair to say Rob George and Matt Gardner among the people I've met on Clapper really do a lot of support of up and coming musicians and singers.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's an impressive thing to see.
yeah.
I got one other question for you, and then I'll go ahead and wrap this up.
Sure, sure.
And that is, where do you see yourself in the next 5-10 years, musically speaking?
Well, I definitely can see myself being a lot better. You know what I mean? Again, I'm a learner, man. I'll keep at it. I'm retired. I work at this stuff 6 to 8 hours a day. I'm an older guy. I have a lot of ground to make up, and because I started late, but I don't know where it brings me. I want it to be a surprise. I want it to be a surprise, and I've just became a independent artist effective 1 September. My
Right.
first song out there is Kio, Kiyo. It's on all mainstream. I have 6 more songs already that are going to come up behind that. Um, and I don't know. Let's see where it takes me. You know what I mean? And I'm excited about it. I'm telling you what. When I get in that bed at night, I'm excited about the next day, on what I'm going to do, and it's music related.
That's
So
awesome, Chief.
yeah,
I appreciate you taking the time to let me ask you a few questions and get to know you a little better,
yeah,
and to bring you to my audience.
yeah,
For those that watch Big Tank Talk, I encourage you, if you have questions you'd like for me to ask Navy Chief or any of the previous interviewees or any of the future interviewees, leave those questions in my comments. Give me a like, give me a subscription, because there'll be more good interviews to follow.
yeah.
Chief, I thought you'd like to know I interview Rob George next,
All right, there's my boy. So
and
don't
I'm
let me
looking
leave
forward to
here
it.
without giving my old my peace out, peace out from the Navy chief. So
All
that's
right,
my
Chief, I
thing.
appreciate it. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right, brother. Take care.
You too.
Bye bye.